Welcome, everyone, to the HTL Cup Series. After a week break, we're back and ready for more. It's the HTL Cup Series on ABN. We are glad you're with us. It's showtime from Alabama. We are glad you're with us here for what should be a very exciting race here in Talladega. Qualifying not far away to set the grid for the Alabama 400 race 7 of the HTL Cup Series campaign. 6 races down. Third plate racing event in 7 races. And it's a bit of a different look with the 7-gen car back on the racetrack here. Before we get too awful carried away, a huge shout out to our Patreon Premier Tier subs. Travis Logan, Dogman 2935, Eli Sassick, Jason Scott, Alfred Denny, Weekend Hobby 22, Philip Snipes, Tyler Head, B-Dogs, Colin McDonough, Blue, KJ Gibney, J-Paw, Jake Potak, and June. All in our Premier Tier subs on Patreon. We appreciate the support that they're giving us all the Plus Tier subs as well on the bottom of your screen for every broadcast we do here on ABM. If you want your name shouted out, the QR code, or if you're watching on YouTube, the description down below can help you get started. Love shouting our supporters. They help make the world spin for us here at ABN, and it's really appreciated here in 2026. That being said, the drivers on the racetrack aren't worried about any of that. They're worried about points and how you can capitalize on the absence of points leader Bren Roberts in the conversation. Points going in. Bren Roberts has a 33-point advantage over Emily Howe. It's a 2-horse race at the top, but that could change pretty significantly if tonight goes the right way. Caitlin Height in third, a race winner from Las Vegas. Pacey Wygen sitting in fourth. Patrick Oberstadt fifth ahead of Dustin Hall, your previous race winner from back in Kansas. Excuse me, I almost said Phoenix. Back in Kansas 2 weeks ago. It's been a little bit of a wait for Dustin Hall, but coming off of a race win, almost got a race win last Tuesday here in Talladega in the Challenger Series. We'll see what he can do. He jumped from being outside the top 12 to 6th in points in one race. That is how much things swung in Kansas. Zach Meredith, Josh Arnold, Bobby Blowers, and Christina Ryan, your top 10. Blowers and Ryan tied on points. Blowers has the better finish in the campaign. I actually doubt that. Christina Ryan's finished on the podium. So I'm going to doubt that. Finished second in Daytona, actually. So I'm going to doubt that, but we'll leave it as it is for right now. Zach Apperson, Mo Perry, 11th and 12th is how they sit in the points right now. And then the conversation shuffles here from those that are looking at the points leader to those that are looking at the cut line and trying to stay either above it or get above it here. Tucker Sawyer, Alfred Denny, Blake Henderson, Stephen Oberstadt are currently above the cut line. For Stephen Oberstadt, he is the cut line. Him and Eli Sassick level on points. Better finish for Oberstadt, though, is the tiebreaker there. Henderson above by 1 point. Denny above by 2 points. Tucker Sawyer clear by 15 points. Despite not being a full-time driver, has a chance to make his way into the playoffs if he decides to commit to the full season. We'll see if that's the case. Brady Smith, Hunter Whitlock, Bailey Thompson, Mirabella Viscali, Martin Roberg, James Wright, and John Matthews all within touching distance of the cut line after the first 6 races. And it doesn't really change too awful much here. It gets a little more difficult. You start looking a race out once you get beyond Byron Jones, Philip Snipes, your Daytona 500 champion, Elias Flores, Dale Markowski, Hunter Peach, Rudy Valentin, despite his race win. He's a part-time driver. He's marked in red because he's not racing full-time, not eligible for the playoffs here. But he's in 30th. He is less than a full race out from the chase from the cut line right now. Nick Pressey, Blue Jade, Marcus Chafin, Gary Donaldson, Jason Scott. That's where you start looking at the drivers that are at that race cut line, behind the cut line behind the playoff line at the moment. Josh Susi, obviously the 3 Given Racing Division cars no longer in the competition. So that rules out Kevin Gibney Jr. and David Smith Jr. as well. Derek Miller's in that conversation. But now you look more than a race out at Miller, at Pereira, Trout, Odie, Mongold. Some of these drivers not racing full-time. Ellis, Anderson, Parkhurst, Wadsworth, Frazier, all in the top 48. 50 drivers have scored points so far. We will see drivers for the first time. June Jimenez and Malachi Tracy will make their debuts this season. Jimenez did 2 prior starts back in Season 3. For Tracy, we last saw him in the VRR Super Cup last year. And he will now make his oval debut here on ABN in the HTL Cup Series. Qualifying is now underway. And who better to focus on than the driver entering as a race winner 2 weeks ago in Kansas, the last time we were out on Monday night. Dustin Hall. Pretty good place to be. We're going to start a lap here. And he's going to back it up here. He is electing to start from the rear of the field. Very bold call. Driver's upset that there's not a lot of wiggle room to be able to make work happen here. As we saw a little bit last season, very difficult to make runs happen, very difficult to generate runs. There's a power increase in these cars from when we saw them last season, and a power increase from what we saw with the 6th generation car at Daytona and Atlanta to kick off the season this time around. How much will that actually change and affect the way the race is tonight remains to be seen. We'll find out in real time, as everyone will, on the racetrack. A driver who's typically excellent at the superspeedways, the restrictor plate races, Christina Ryan, former ABN World Champion, 6-time most popular driver, decides that her loathing of the 7th generation car warranted a stint into the inside wall. Defending, reigning HTL Daytona 500 winner Philip Snipes on the racetrack here on a flying lap now. Current pole position, it's going to be pulled up on your screen. Only 7 time setters at the moment. Christina Ryan, the fastest of the bunch. Josh Arnold goes top of the chart in the number 12. Willie Frazier, not in an HTL car, in a Chevrolet, but subbing in for Bobby Blowers, who is not present tonight, as we mentioned 2 weeks ago in Kansas and reaffirmed a week ago in the Challenger Series race here on vacation. Enjoying his time away from the racetrack, Philip Snipes. Cross start finish line, 52.132. That is enough for 3rd. Mo Perry goes top of the chart. Another former winner. Going around, this was back in Season 2, Blake Henderson. Looking for another win. That is his only points restrictor plate win in HTL. He's won 4 times. Won at Phoenix, won at Indianapolis, won at Talladega, and most recently last season at Bristol. Can he break through and grab a win here again in Talladega? His teammate, Zach Apperson, did last season. We'll see if that's the case. Henderson on the yellow line. That double yellow line has been a big talking point over the last 24 hours following the NASCAR Cup Series race in Atlanta. It's the out-of-bounds line. Cannot go below it in the race. In qualifying, sure, go ahead. You cannot advance your position in the race by going below the double yellow line. Henderson goes 52.162. That is enough just for 8th, right behind his teammate, Christina Ryan, who right now will share the 4th row of the grid with him. A lot of cars now on the racetrack this go around. Mirabella Viscali. Second race in Arrowhead numbers. From the 18 to the 16 and rolling around the racetrack now. On an outlap here. John Matthews goes 8th fastest, gets between Ryan and Henderson. I think that kind of favors them a little bit because now they'll be on the same row. Right now they're sitting inside lane, 7th and 9th, Ryan and Henderson. Behind Markowski, behind Snipes, and Perry currently on the front row of the field as the provisional pole setter. Viscali. One of many on the racetrack at the moment. Frazier, Wygant, Viscali, Fressy, Roberg, Denny, Odie, and Dustin Hall looking to improve his record for slowest qualifying time on an oval. There's a game that we used to play, Vintage Dustin Hall. We talk about it a lot. This was a vintage game of Dustin Hall used to play back in season 3, where he would slow crawl and set the slowest time and try to see how slow he could get it with 3 minutes 45 left to go. He's going to try to set a 7-minute lap. The thing is, listen, he is moving. He is still rolling. Viscali goes across the start-finish line, 52.165, and no one has been able to match Mo Perry just yet. Roberg goes 3rd fastest. Wygant goes 2nd fastest. It's Ascent Racing on the front row. Bailey Thompson. I don't think this lap's going to count for Bailey. My time in scoring showing that Bailey's already done a lap. I don't think this is going to count. We'll see. First start this season for June Jimenez, the Dominican driver. Running around right now on the racetrack. Starting her qualifying run. 2 wins in the Challenger Series this campaign. Joining Arrowhead Racing for the first time. And a number 11, very familiar, very synonymous with Arrowhead Racing in HTL. A lot of race wins in that car. Race wins here in that car. Tommy Reynolds won in that 11 car. It was a Target red and white machine when he won back in season 5. Jimenez across the finish line. Qualifying starts now for the 11. Back on the racetrack for the first time in almost 3 full seasons of competition. Thompson's lap did not count. We thought it wouldn't. It didn't. So Thompson will start in the back of the field, but that may have been planned anyway. Dustin Hall has stopped. Gonna let this time sit and simmer. Thompson goes 10th fastest, so it did count for Thompson after all. And Thompson will now share row 5 provisionally with Christina Ryan. It's Toyota's 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Only one other race car on the track at the moment. Jimenez coming across start finish line. Where does the 11 go? First time back in over a year and a half, almost 2 years. 12th fastest for Jimenez. She will start row 6 as things currently sit. Lily Frazier in the snail's pace crawl. It is a race to the bottom between Frazier and Dustin Hall, and they will wait it out for another 45, 46 seconds. But Mo Perry breaking in and grabbing pole position here. An outstanding job. Just for giggles, I want to see what the average mile an hour looks like when he crosses the start finish line here in 20 seconds. Gary Donaldson did not take to the racetrack. Casey Ellis got to pit lane, elected to not run after getting to the end of pit lane. Lily Frazier will also start from the rear of the field here with 5 seconds left to roll. Crosses the line right as the buzzer expires, and it's an 18-mile-an-hour average for Dustin Hall. He'll start 33rd behind Louis Frazier. Outstanding. So qualifying over, Mo Perry on pole position. Pacey Wygant will complete the front row here for the Alabama 400. We are glad you are with us here for a wonderful Monday night of racing. Warm-up now underway here. 5 minutes, so everyone to dial things in. Green flag pit stops, practice them. We saw green flag pit stops in both races last season. There is nothing to indicate that we won't see them again this season, especially with no stage breaks. So let's go ahead and jump into some of our big pace notes for this event. 2.66 miles a lap around the Talladega Superspeedway. It is the largest oval on the HTL circuit. There's only one oval larger on iRacing, the iRacing Superspeedway. A lot of the older folks will remember it as Coca-Cola Speedway from NASCAR Racing 2003. 400 kilometers, race distances are measured in kilometers here in HTL, so 400 kilometers evens out to about 94 laps here in Talladega. There is a 500-kilometer race, which is over 100 laps later on this season in the playoffs. The banking in the corners, 1, 2, 3, and 4, are the same. 33 degrees. It is one of the highest banked racetracks in the world. The stages, predictable. Lap 25 and lap 30. Sorry, not lap 25 and lap 50, excuse me. Lap 50 gets you just beyond halfway here in Talladega. Pretty straightforward. If the numbers serve correctly, should be able to go through stage 1 without a pit stop under green flag conditions. How far, we're not sure. Everyone's kept those numbers close to the vest. But we'll see how things pan out here as this race gets underway in just a few moments' time. And it's nonstop from here until November 9th. Next 5 races are 5 weeks in succession, and they're pretty big races. First time HTL takes on the Circuit of the Americas next Monday here on ABN. And then on ABN's 8th anniversary weekend, we go to the place that started the dream so many years ago, July 27th, the HTL Brickyard 400 from Indianapolis. August 3rd, the Team Conti 400 from Nashville. Then we go to Michigan on August 10th. And Homestead Miami Speedway on August 17th gets us out of the dog days of summer and closer towards the fall months here with HTL on ABN Mondays. Betting odds by the totally realistic and genuine ABN Sportsbook. Kalen Height, former winner of this race, sits with the best odds of those present for the race today. Glenn Roberts would be up on this list without a doubt if he was in attendance. Said Marcus Chafin is in that number 8 machine tonight. He's on this list in 10th, another former winner here in Talladega, as is Blake Henderson, as is Zach Apperson. Emily Howe, a winner at Daytona, a former Winstall 400 champion, knows how to win on these restrictor plates, has won in Winstall in Talladega, has not done so yet in HTL. What a first career victory happened here in Alabama. I think she'd be pretty happy with herself if it did. It was a unforced error that took her out of the race-winning equation in Daytona to kick off the season. Eli Sasek, likewise, has won at Daytona, won the Firecracker a couple seasons ago. Would like to win here at Talladega and add to his repertoire. That Firecracker win is his only HTL Cup Series win so far. Alfred Denny always a presence on the super speedways, yet to win at all in HTL. He is one of the very few drivers. I think it's a pocket of 3 drivers that have done every season full-time so far in HTL. And he's still looking for that first career victory. Dustin Hall, the man that just came off of a race win in Kansas 2 weeks ago, trying to do so. Josh Arnold, 3-time race winner. We'll love to add a Talladega race to his repertoire for Militia Racing Club. But numbers are going to be important. The team game is going to be strong here in Talladega tonight. As it was last season, it'll be amplified here today. Finally, the cars that we're using, a little bit different than what we have seen in the intermediates, what we saw 2 weeks ago in Kansas. Increased power for the cars here, the Gen 7 platform in the HTL Cup Series, but the body's the same, symmetrical body, a little bit taller spoiler, rear diffuser still in place, not quite 670, but more than the 550 that typically would be in place here at these restrictor plates, but the Gen 7 car in use again tonight. That being said, it's time to jump into the starting grid here for the HTL Alabama 400. Mo Perry on pole position, the rookie driver, grabbing some attention here at the pole position in Alabama. Casey Wygent, silver pole positions to his name, the former Challenger Series champion, outside front row once again here in Talladega. Row 2 is reapplying Josh Arnold and Martin Roberg. Martin Roberg, one of his best qualifying efforts. He always shines here on the restricted plate racetracks. He almost won the Firecracker 400 3 seasons ago. Row 3 is where you'll find Philip Snipes, the defending HTL Daytona 500 winner, alongside Zach Meredith, former champion of HTL. Del Markowski and Steven Overstat in row 4. Overstat's won here before. Markowski has not. The teammates will line up 7th and 8th on the racetrack. The top 10 is earmarked by a couple of Alliance cars. Pseudo teammates Christina Ryan from Epic Motorsports alongside Bailey Thompson. Home racetrack for Thompson tonight, has never won here in Talladega. Can a top 10 be on the cards? I think that'd be a success given recent track records for the 27 car. A race win would be cloud 9 for Thompson at home. John Matthews back on the racetrack in the 98 car tonight. Missed the 2 weeks ago in Kansas. June Jimenez lines up alongside her first race in almost 4 years. She's in row 6, starting 12th. Nicholas Pressey and Blake Henderson make up row number 7. Nicholas Pressey, Arrowhead 500 winner this season. Blake Henderson, ABN Daytona 500 winner from 2 years ago. We know how successful they can be on the plate tracks. Can they find success from row 7 tonight? Byron Jones and Mirabella Viscali in row number 8. They'll work their way forward from there. Brady Smith will try to do the same from row 9 alongside Derek Miller for NFG Motorsports. Eli Sasek and Malachi Tracy in row 10. Tracy making his debut on an oval after racing the Super Cup for VRR almost 2 years ago. This year, Alfred Denny will start 21st in car 21 alongside one of the favorites to come to the field, Emily Howell, starting 22nd in the field. Marcus Chafin, fantastic looking number 8 car, the GM Goodwin's machine, will start alongside teammate Patrick Oberstadt, 23rd and 24th tonight. 24th is where you'll find Jason Scott and Zach Apperson. 25th and 26th on the grid. Hunter Peach, the defending HTL Cup Series champion, alongside Elias Flores in row 14. Your top 30 rounded out by James Wright and Richard Odie. Tucker Sawyer, Willie Frazier, they'll work themselves forward through the field here. Sawyer and Frazier, 31st and 32nd on the grid. Dustin Hall, Gary Donaldson, row 17, 33rd and 34th on the grid. Casey Ellis in the 31 car for the Orlando Outlaws Academy team will start 35th and round out this field here in Talladega. It is almost showtime here in Talladega. We are so glad you are with us. A huge shout out to Henderson Graphics, one of the best partners we can have here on ABN. NASCAR quality without NASCAR pricing. A lot of good looking paint schemes created by Henderson Graphics here Whether you're winning real life in ARCA or looking good for your league races across the spectrum here on iRacing, they got you covered. Mo Perry, front of the field, on pole position in that Ascent Racing Toyota Camry. Toyotas all over the top 10 here in the starting grid. Starting position, everyone believes, so crucial. We'll see how vital it is in these opening 15 laps. How much can you move? How much can you dance around this super wide and super fast speedway? For stock car racing, this is hallowed ground. Luck is the intersection of talent and opportunity. Who is going to find the intersection first tonight? The pace car will pull down pit lane with Perry and Wygant, the teammates for Ascent Racing, leading the field around. The crescendo builds, the anticipation climbs. The Alabama 400 is underway. We're racing in Talladega. First lap in the books. Wygant had the lead for a moment, dropped back as the outside lane struggled through 3 and 4. Perry leads the opening lap. Arnold wants the lead now. He goes to the outside lane. A lot of talking points with the 7th gen car. A lot similar from last season, a lot different from last season. The increased power has increased the odds of overheating these 7th generation motors. How long can you stay behind somebody? How long do you want to stay behind somebody? That increased power, is that going to help the outside lane generate momentum? Drivers are skeptical going into this race. So far, we're seeing drivers put that to the test. Right now, it is Josh Arnold and Pacey Wygant out in front, trying to lead lap number 2, and they're going to. Josh Arnold's going to cross the line as the race leader. Lead change already on the opening lap. And Wygant goes straight to the bottom, trying to help his teammate. The Ascent Racing car is going to try to work together. Meanwhile, it is Arnold now in Roberg in the 60. As we mentioned, Martin Roberg almost won a race 3 seasons ago. The Firecracker 400 collision with Christina Ryan ended those hopes on the final lap out of turn 4. Roberg goes to the bottom of the racetrack. It does not get to the race lead. And what we're seeing here is already defying some of the trends that people were expecting in the 2-week layoff we had between Kansas and tonight. A lot of people expecting the inside lane to be the dominant lane. The inside lane led the opening lap, and that's been it. Now there's 2 cars clear, with teammates Meredith and Arnold leading the outside lane now, ahead of Bailey Thompson in 3rd on that outside lane. Henderson's also moved up into the top 10 pretty quickly in that 25 car. And Mo Perry, your pole sitter, being shuffled out of the top 5 and closer to the edge of the top 10 on that inside lane. So what this is speaking is that the inside lane either is not working cohesively yet, or the outside lane a lot more potent than people expected it to be on the outset here. And it's not a connected outside lane. There's 2 different outside lanes that for a period of time were not put together. Now they are, because the inside lane has split itself open to accommodate. Arnold led that lap. Roberg trying to lead Wygant forward here. Once upon a time, Roberg and Wygant were teammates. Not so much anymore. The rule of thumb here in Talladega is your friends are where you find them. And you're going to see that pretty well to a dot here. Meredith goes to the bottom, covers off Roberg. Makes sense. Militia Racing Club trying to control both lanes. We saw this in Atlanta 2 months ago. Almost worked, too. But almost only counts on horseshoes and hand grenades. Arnold now relying on Thompson. Led that lap by a fingertip. A little bit of a check up there on the outside lane. Bad bump there between Thompson and Arnold, checking the outside lane up, and it's going to allow Zach Meredith and Martin Roberg to have their choice. And Roberg goes top of the racetrack. Meredith has to go back down to the yellow line. And Roberg wants to lead a lap here. Remember, stage 1 ends on lap 25. We beat the horse till it's been grounded to a pulp. There's no stage breaks. There's no stage yellows. We race through them if we can. Arnold shuffles Roberg out of the way, not wanting to help the 60. It's going to check up the outside lane. The inside lane, for the first time since the start of the race, has the advantage. And now we've got 3 different lanes of cars. Three wide, 5 rows. Meredith out in front of Wygant, Perry, and Snipes. Philip Snipes in that almost volunteer orange, number 17 for Arrowhead Racing. The defending HTL Daytona 500 winner. Obviously excellent here in the plate tracks. Trying to win a second one. We'll see if he can. Wygant goes outside lane. Does Arnold help him, or does he look further outside? He didn't want to help him. Wygant leads the lap from the outside lane, but gets immediately put on the high side, and away he goes. A little bit of a contact there between Thompson and Meredith as the race lead belongs to Josh Arnold, and Wygant led a lap, but will now pay for it dearly. He's got no help. And most of his teammates are on the inside lane with nowhere to go. And Militia Racing Club racing aggressively here, going from lane to lane, outside to inside, wall to yellow line. And Meredith with the latency issue, that will be a concern in this race, as aggressive as they are racing early. What we're seeing right now is a level of aggression we were not expecting to see immediately. We didn't expect to see this out of the gate. And now here we are. Perry back to the front of the field with the help from Snipes. That outside lane, that inner fighting between Militia Racing Club and Tombstone Motorsports, checking that outside lane up. And we saw this bite Meredith at Daytona and Atlanta. No one wanted to help him. He is an aggressive driver by trait. And he gets turned by Thompson. And there we go, and that is potentially the big one. Chafin involved in it. Not sure how damaged Chafin's car is, but it's not looking great. It looks like Jimenez might also have some damage on the nose of that number 11. First start this season in the Cup Series. Emily Howe was involved in it. And Zach Meredith, I think, might be done for the day early here. We talked about it. No one wanted to work with Meredith. It is a double-edged sword with Militia Racing Club. Josh Arnold, one of the more respected drivers in the field. Zach Meredith, one of the most disliked in the field. And it doesn't lead to fights, it just leads to this. So we will take a look at what happened here. And we're going to need a high above cam. Let's go ahead and back it up here for a second, because you see here Thompson really laying it on to Meredith in that number 2 machine. Now I want to back it up here so you can kind of see how this builds, because it builds out of turn 2. It takes time. But once it happens, it happens quickly. This is out of turn 2, down the back straightaway. That's Arnold at 12, Meredith, his teammate, and then you have two Tombstone cars, Thompson and Henderson, just behind. Thompson gets right to the bumper of the two. And you're going to see what happens here. Pushing the pusher never goes well. We talk about the latency. Meredith had a couple of different moments where he had latency. And you saw Meredith, actually, the nose of that 27 car went into the 2 car before physics took over. Emily Howe trying to avoid trouble turns Marcus Chafin. Chafin gets into Pacey Wygen, all three of them up near the fence. And you can see the trouble there as Meredith has another latency incident after the crash has started. Overall, that crash not as bad as it could have been, but also, unfortunately, draws the first caution early here in this race. And if there's any doubts about making it to the end of stage 1 on fuel, those fears are gone. A lot of cars now on pit lane. 34 took the start. Dustin Hall did not start this race. We'll see if he comes in later on in the competition. Still on pit lane here. This is the 8 of Chafin back on the racetrack here. Meredith will try to battle it out here. I'm not sure how good that car is going to handle. The back of that car all torn up from the different levels of contact there. And I think Meredith's hoping right now that it kind of stays that way. Olivia Pereira did not make the start of this race. However, was registered and will take to the track here momentarily. Multiple laps down, but not close enough to challenge Meredith, who's already completed 10 laps of racing here. So caution for the first time. The over-under on cautions in this race, presented by ABN Analytics, 7.5. Over or under? It is time to get ready to go back racing. Dale Markowski at the front of the field, ahead of Derek Miller, Malachi Tracy, Mo Perry, and Philip Snipes, your top 5. Josh Arnold in 6th, John Matthews in 7th, Arabella Viscali, Haley Thompson, Blake Henderson, your top 10 for this restart. See with Hunter Peach in the background, that yellow car. Indeed it was. Pereira yet to join the racetrack. Meredith still on pit lane. Stephen Oberstadt at the back of the field with Hunter Peach, who goes 33 cars on the lead lap here. First caution in the books early. First restart coming up. The lights on the pace car are out. Dale Markowski has yet to win a race here in Talladega. Would love to change that in the number 7. Would help him out significantly as far as the points go as well. Long ways to go to get there to lap 94. Especially with cautions around here. Laps under caution about 2 minutes, 17 seconds. At racing speed, we go about 48 seconds a lap. So, triple your drive time. here in Talladega under caution, each one you get. To the restart zone we go. We're back underway here in Talladega. The inside lane, the front two got a good launch. Markowski and Tracy were all over it. Unfortunately, Philip Snipes not so all over it, and he will not be able to capitalize on the slower restart of Miller and Perry. And the inside lane has numbers early here. Snipes goes outside lane. Looking for help. He's not got it. Does Miller go with him? No. And so the alliance between Arrowhead and NFG, so far, no fruit. How about between Arrowhead and Militia Racing Club, the 12 and the 17? Nose to tail. Viscali also in that mix in the top 10. They're hooked up now. Can the fleet of Toyotas on the outside lane make inroads there? Christina Ryan's in the outside lane as well, fourth in line. Markowski leads, and the outside lane now put together. Pressey, Apperson also in the mix. There's a third lane further back. Peach and Wygent. That outside lane is moving. Door to door now is Snipes with Markowski. A little bit of side draft, a little bit of rock and roll. And your reigning HTL Daytona 500 winner leads that lap. Snipes in front of Markowski and Arnold. A third lane being played with now, 7 cars on the outside. We'll see how that pans out. Outside lane trying to follow that of Pacey Wygent. Byron Jones is in that mix in the 24. Emily Howe's in that mix in the 15. Good company to be in. You got Denny, you got Jason Scott also in that outside groove. I believe Elias Flores also in that outside lane. 3 wide, 7 rows. And we have firmly departed what most of the field thought would be normal. This was not on the bingo card tonight. And we're happy about it. Christina Ryan, just like that, gets to the front of the field. It's Ryan and Pressey. A pair of ABN World Champions, front of the field. Wygent on the outside lane. We've got 3 lanes of car. This is vintage HTL at Talladega right now. If there were concerns about how this car would race, right now they'd be put aside. This is outstanding. Remember, stage ends on lap 25. We race through it. 9 rows of 3. Out of turn 4. Apperson looking for the race lead. Toyota up top. Ford on the bottom. Apperson clears Ryan. Goes to the bottom of the racetrack. James right now leads the middle. Ahead of Hunter Peach, the defending HTL Cup Series champion. And, oh, right gets turned. Right gets turned mid-quarter. Huge crash. 15 cars plus. Thompson involved. Hometown race. Cinderella tail a little further from reach for Bailey Thompson. James right there in 20th. Some significant damage on the 14 car. A lot of damage that needs to be repaired. That bails out Meredith. Had he been on the racetrack, he came out for a lap, came back down pit lane, where he has been now for the last 6 minutes. And Pereira will get the free pass being on the racetrack at the time of caution. So Pereira, being alone, will get one of those laps back. Let's take a look at what happened here. This is going to be from the blimp cam high above, and you see it's already started. It's a bad bump between Peach and Wright going into turn 1. These cars have more horsepower than they did last season here in Talladega, but they're also a little bit more sensitive than they were last season. And it's just a bad bump. James Wright going up the racetrack just a little bit. Peach trying to follow, target fixates, and just tags the left side. Gets him unsteady. And there's just not a whole lot you can do to save it. Bounces off of Nick Pressey. And he was going to go up the racetrack no matter what. Gets hooked by the 50. And there's just not a lot of place to go. Thompson in the middle, nowhere to go there. That's the danger of being 3 wide early in this race, is the middle's the worst place to be. The outside lane, you've got some semblance of where to go. Inside lane, you've got the grass. In the middle, you're in no man's land. You see Henderson slows down massively on the outside lane, lets the field sort of roll down the racetrack in front of him. I think Jimenez gets away with this one pretty easily, slowed down in front of Perry. I don't see a lot of contact there. We're right on board here. Flush body panels there, so it looks like we're good there on the 11 car. And we'll actually take a look here and right on board with Jimenez. Very difficult to see. Avoids making contact there with Sasic. Avoid making contact there with Perry. With Henderson. He saw it early. Saw it coming. Got well on the gas. Everyone was trying to go low because they saw the smoke go high. And Henderson, good job getting out of that one. See him right now. He's actively 11th place on the racetrack. Marcus Chafin. Another former winner here in Talladega. He's used to these scenes. Has to load up big time to avoid running into Frazier. A little bit of contact there with the 50 of Peach. But that's easily repairable, and he's able to get back rolling. Doesn't ever come to a complete stop either. And our defending champion with it on board. Rough race there for Hunter Peach. Your top 5 after 20 laps here in Talladega. Apperson, Wygant, Jones, Ryan, and Howell. Some very familiar faces here in Talladega at the front of the field. Apperson won this race the season ago. His first and only HTL Cup Series victory so far. We'll see how things pan out. Christina Ryan, Emily Howell, both chasing their first points wins in Cup Series competition. Again, a reminder, stages, lap 25 and lap 50. No planned stage breaks, but if another caution comes out between now and lap 25, the caution will end the stage. Been a bit of a scramble. 2 cautions in. The over-under was 7.5. We're at 2 in the opening 20 laps of this race. Second restart coming up. Meredith is back on the racetrack here at the back of the field, as is Pereira. So 35 cars on the racetrack now as we get ready to go back racing. Pace car is in. Apperson controls the field, rolling into the restart zone. 4 laps to go at the line in stage 1. We're back underway here in Talladega. See the outside lane trouble. Car in the fence. Derek Miller was the car in the fence, the 18. They stay green. No one spun, but trouble for Derek Miller. And now he needs a yellow to get that damage repaired. He's going to come down pit lane under green, I think. I don't think he has much of a choice. Snipes in the middle. Who commits to the middle? Who commits to the top side? 3 wide, and everyone trying to move forward. It is Wygant and Byron Jones sitting top 2. And they spin behind. Huge crash. Huge crash. Snipes almost flipped in turns 3 and 4. Stage ends here. And I think that's day done for Philip Snipes. It is. Unfortunate there for the 17 camp, the reigning Daytona 500 winners this season. Hard crash here as everyone was coming to the end of the stage. We're going to ride on board with them. You're going to see how quickly this changes. Didn't start with him. It started on the outside lane, but you hear the engine give up. Nothing you can do in that situation. There's Nick Pressey also involved. He has had no luck here on the plate tracks. So let's take a look here, and we want to... This is what you're going to look at here. Jason Scott in the 91... A rookie mistake going way too high side this late into the stage, knowing the stage is coming in 2 laps. And you can see Pressey in the 20 and the 60 of Martin Roberg full steam ahead off the draft of the 91. Jason Scott comes down the racetrack just enough. He was trying to cover off the 20. And instead, what you get is this. Hard impact for our 3rd caution of the race, and you see the contact that comes from it. Everyone trying to avoid the melee. Jimenez and Viscali make contact. Roberg up in the fence. I think Mo Perry had a little bit of a piece of it. John Matthews had to make massive avoiding action there. And you just sort of pick through the crowd here as they have to let all of the dust settle out of turn 4. So pit stop's underway. The stage is over. And we reset to go again. Anyhow, first car off pit lane. Fuel only for a lot of these cars. Not taking tires. Some will try to go without taking tires all race long. Would not be surprised to see some of these front runners do just that. Hal, Henderson, Tucker Sawyer, the winner, the defending winner last time we were here in Talladega, back in the top 5. Viscali, all taking fuel only. Most of the field did. So you get beyond 16th, 17th place. Christina Ryan, 4 tires. Frazier, 4 tires. Peach, 4 tires. Perry, Oberstadt, Chafin. A lot of 4 tires. A lot of damage being repaired as well. Steven Oberstadt, Martin Roberg, Gary Donaldson, Nick Tressy, Derek Miller, Malachi Tracy, Elias Flores, James Wright, Philip Snipes, Zach Meredith back down on pit lane. Jason Scott's day is done. Philip Snipes' day, I'm going to hazard to guess with the engine failure, is going to be done as well in 33rd. And although marginal at the moment, those are spots. Those are spots for Meredith and Pereira to gain from their earlier troubles, losing laps early. Pereira will take the wave around here in front of Emily Howe. We'll get past the pace car, and we'll join the tail end of the field. Emily Howe will lead the field to green ahead of Brady Smith, Blake Henderson, and Tucker Sawyer. Mirabella Viscali, Pacey Wygett, John Matthews, Alfred Denny, Byron Jones, Zach Apperson, your top 10. This race, a lot more active. It's a lot racier. It's a lot more frantic than last season. The increased power definitely helping play a part in that. What it's also doing is that it's putting drivers in positions they've not had to be in over a year. This car last season was very mundane. A lot of drivers' car, you could say it was too easy to drive, but you couldn't really do anything with it. You couldn't push forward. Once the inside lane was hooked up, you were just sort of stuck. That's not been the case tonight. Sustained 3 wide, 9 rows has its risk and its benefits. The benefits, it's a lot more entertaining for everybody. The risk is if it goes bad in a hurry for a lot of people. And we've seen that already twice tonight. Everyone rolling the dice because they know they can. There's no fast repairs. So you sort of reap what you sow on that. But this race is also early enough in the regular season that you can try to make it back with Austin, with Indianapolis, the next 2 races. You've got a pretty good fleet of races coming up here that are all drivers' tracks. So you're going to have that mindset of drivers that just want to go gambling. We'll see how that pans out tonight. 31 cars lead lap. 33 cars still running. Emily Howell, Brady Smith, Blake Henderson, Tucker Sawyer, your top 4. We're back underway in Talladega. 3rd restart tonight. Inside lane put together. Outside lane fell apart. But it's teammates on the outside lane right now. And they're going to get to the inside lane. Alfred Denny has a very important choice to make. Stay single file on the inside lane. Here he goes. Josh Arnold behind him. 3 versus 2 at the front of the field. Brady Smith leads this lap. Some stragglers further behind, wounded race cars from these first 3 cautions of this race has minimized the amount of cars that are in this lead pack conversation. 31 cars on the lead lap. Realistically, 27 are put together in this lead group. 3 wide, here we go. And Alfred Denny, look at him go, front of the field, the 21. Henderson behind him. Christina Ryan behind Henderson. The teammates have arrived for Tombstone Motorsports on that outer groove. Thompson is there too. Despite being involved in one of the 2 crashes, one of the 2 big crashes in this race, sitting right there in the top 10, looking for a top 5 in the running order. Henderson, Ryan, Thompson, and Apperson outside lane, all together behind Alfred Denny, who leads the outer groove. And I would not be surprised if the Tombstone gang throw out an anchor and make that outer groove their home. We'll see if that's the case. Denny leads, but the middle lane now charging forward with Wygant and Arnold leading the way. The inside lane seems to be the weakest link. Remember, inside lane's the best place to be to avoid an accident. The reason why is because the outer 2 lanes have been playing really close. Denny trying to control as many lanes as possible here. And he's going to cover off that middle lane while he can. Not a bad move to make. Wygant goes topside. Who does he get help from? The Tombstone cars are sort of sandbagging him here. Denny led that lap, but got put middle 3. Arnold now leads. Perry picked up the 90. Perry picked up the 21. Perry in the 97. And Wygant fell back quite a ways. Denny goes to the bottom. And everyone changing lanes like it's I-95. Denny led the race on the outside lane. Now he's on the inside lane. Brady Smith trying to lead the race. He's got Perry behind him, and then Casey Ellis. First time we said Ellis's name since the race started. He's in the top 10 in that 31 car. Smith leads, but everyone still figuring out this game. The increased power has definitely added some wrinkles to this race. We're all for it. An additional 55 horsepower brings it from 550 to 605. A pretty sizable increase when you think about the speeds that these cars naturally carry. Top speeds touching 210 miles an hour. We'll show you the dashboard here. They're going to touch 200 pretty quickly. 200 right there for Brady Smith in the turn 3. Got a shot there. Got above 200. You're faster in the draft. So you look at someone like Hal. Exiting turn 4. Had to check up on the outer lane. Sorry, inner lane for Emily Howe. Had the wrong Arrowhead Racing car in sight. See, even look at Alfred Denny. He's already 200 miles an hour out of turn 2. Doesn't have the draft now. He's moved to the outer lane with Henderson. But you see they're above 200. We weren't close to this last season. We were sitting about like 186, 187 miles an hour last season. Almost a 15 mile an hour increase leading the line. Closer to 20, 24 mile an hour increase in the draft. Wygant leads the way. Top 4 all Ascent cars. But we've seen this song and dance before. They have dominated plate races before and walked off empty-handed. More often than not, it's happened. Wygant, Sasek, Flores, and Perry. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Zach Meredith is in this mix. His car seems game now. It just took him a lot of time on pit lane to try to get that car to a serviceable state. And he's not stopped being aggressive either. Six laps down. He needs a lot of help to get back on the lead lap here in this race. The most cautions we've had was 8 over the last couple seasons. Most cautions ever at Talladega back in season 4, 13. Only 2 races in HTL history at Talladega with more than 9 cautions. And they were all over 3 years ago. Ascent Racing, interestingly, have run the middle lane. And they've stayed there between the hash marks. That's a very interesting position to be in. Here comes Byron Jones to the front of the field for Outlaws. Support for Emily Howe, who just wants to move forward. And Josh Armour in the mix. Byron Jones led that lap. Lap 37 now underway. But this race, far from what anyone expected or predicted, and that's been a positive. We were expecting single file, hug the yellow line, or hug the wall, and they have been everywhere in between. Wygant in the middle lane, trying to control the narrative there at the front of the field. Byron Jones, he led one lap, he'd like to lead another one. And Emily Howe is the right person to have behind you if you're trying to lead. Through the trioval, down towards start-finish line. Jones does do it again. Outer lane struggling. Meredith leading that lane. He is still not 100%. That is still a wounded race car of the 2. Leading the outside lane. And the Tombstone cars are suffering because of it, because those are the cars up there. Meredith was trying to race to get a lap back here, and all he's done is he has hurt the cars in the outer lane, and this is in the memory bank for drivers. It adds to the amount of ire towards the 2 of Zach Meredith. People don't like him. They don't want to work with him. This is not going to help his case. Meredith's trying to just get a lap back. He's trying to give himself a chance, but because his car is still wounded and because that car can't lead a line, he just killed the entire outside lane, and now we're back to 2 wide. Not a whole lot Meredith can do about that. He thought he was on a rocket ship. He had a car that was holding draft and was going 205 miles an hour. But then you pull that car out of line, and the damage, especially to the floor of the car, turned it into a parachute. And that's what you get. And Tombstone Motorsports now have 0 cars in the top 10. And for a period of time, they were 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Byron Jones comfy at the front of the field, leading ahead of Emily Howe. with Brady Smith now on the inside lane, third in lines. Josh Arnold outside lane leader. A little bit of contact between Wygent and John Matthews as they go side by side out of turn 2. A lot of cars in the mix still. Don't get it twisted. Still a lot of work to do. 27 cars in the proximity of this lead group. Realistically, you're looking at 23 in this lead pack. There is a group of 4 just off this lead group. 30 cars on the lead lap right now. Roberg down pit lane with damage repair being done. Meredith has now moved to 31st. Latency for Viscali. Is that a disconnection for Viscali? No. Not far away, though, for the 18, who had to drop back quickly ahead of Richard Odie and dropping below the yellow line to get out of the way, noticing the issue was pretty severe. And that's not going to help. May have lost the draft there. Had to get out of the gas, I think, way too much. And that may have costed the 18. Arnold now out in front ahead of Wygent, Sasek, and Flores. Jones, Perry, Howe, Sawyer, Smith, Matthews, your top 10. Stage 2 ends on lap 50. Stage 1 ended under caution, a couple laps from the end of the stage. Onwards we march, with Arnold at the front of the field, Pacey Wygent, Eli Sasek, your top 3. 3 wide, further back, everyone beginning to plan those moves to move forward, and that's when chaos strikes, more often than not. Viscali has lost touch with this lead pack. About to go a lap down, Nick Cressy. James Wright working with Gary Donaldson further up the road. Where does Cressy go? Does he stay bottom? No, he goes top side. And everyone's out to make it a tight squeeze to get through, and they do. That's the most uneasy thing about being put a lap down here at Talladega. If they're already 3 wide, it's a little bit tight to make things happen. But there you go. Outside lane beginning to move. Perry trying to move forward. The pole sitter right now sitting in the top 5, trying to get around Zach Meredith. Again, Meredith hanging around in there, but now he's in the middle and being thrown backwards. Again, because people don't want to work with him. That is one of the downsides when it comes to plate racing. If people don't like you, they're not going to work with you. We talk about most popular driver, Christina Ryan, ABN's most popular driver, 6 years in a row. The title you don't often want to have is most unpopular driver. Josh Soucy was that for a period of time, the former 2-time Cup Series champion. Soucy departing the Cup Series to focus on the Challenger Series and other scheduling conflicts there has handed that mantle off, I think, pretty easily to Zach Meredith. It's almost like Moses. You watch the sea just part and split into two whenever you see the two there. And for Josh Arnold, he's got to basically do this alone. And that's what he's been doing. He's been doing well there. The dichotomy between that team, we mentioned it earlier, Meredith being almost despised by some. Meanwhile, Josh Arnold's one of the most beloved drivers in the field. There's not many in that stratosphere with Arnold. Dustin Hall is up there. Alfred Denny is up there. But it's rarefied air. And so far, it's working. Toyota's top 7 lockout right now. More lap cars, Wright and Donaldson getting out of the way. Donaldson coming down James Wright coming down pit lane. Donaldson pushing on. We'll go a lap down here on the racetrack. Here you go. 3 to go in stage 2. The Toyotas are doing fine. Top 6. Byron Jones trying to move forward in that 24 Chevrolet for Orlando Outlaws. But the Ascent cars still largely have everything that they need covered off. Byron Jones being pushed heavily by Christina Ryan. Again, good company to have on the way up. Mo Perry on the bottom of the racetrack, I believe. No, sorry, that is Alfred Denny on the bottom of the racetrack at the moment, breaking his way into the top 10. 2 laps to go, stage 2. How long do they let Arnold out in front? And how much does Arnold fight this? Pretty important questions to begin to try to answer here. And again, it's not really all about the 10 stage points here. You're thinking about the 55 points for winning a race. That's what you're thinking about right now more than anything. The 10 bonus points for the stage win is nice. But you're thinking big picture. You're thinking 55 points. You're thinking 50 points. You're thinking big picture right now. White flag in stage number 2. And here we go. Herrera on the apron, dropping out of the way the best that she could. Here goes Christina Ryan, support from the 50, Hunter Peach. James Wright, outside lane, out of the way. This is the run to the end of stage 2. Remember, we raced through this as well. Just no support on the inside lane when it mattered. Josh Arnold has to go top to bottom. Pacey Wygant will grab the stage win. It's hard to tell who got second there between Arnold and Sasek. But as we mentioned, we raced through it. So whatever happens, happens. We're going from here. More and more cars dropping off of this lead pack. We're down to 21 in this lead group. Wygant out in front. Sasek and Flores got to the bottom of the racetrack. Brady Smith couldn't get there. Almost a big-time trouble. John Matthews saves it off the nose of Josh Arnold. And some cars coming down the pit lane independently of this. That is your Tombstone and Unforgiven armada there coming down pit lane. Any penalties for speeding on the pit lane? Not from that group. They're all good. Now you don't want to speed exiting pit lane. They got to the end of stage 2. Now coming down pit lane There's 2 pit stops for everybody except for those that just came down pit lane. They've got 1 to make. And just about everyone came down pit lane together on lap 24 or lap 25. So you've got to come down pit lane soon. And everyone's thinking the big picture here. Tracy comes down, but I believe the 35 will be alone. He is. Malachi Tracy alone coming down pit lane from the top 20. Wygent, Sasek, Flores, Jones, Jimenez, Arnold, Smith, Perry, Sawyer, and Howe. Now your top 10. And you see how many Toyotas are there. Byron Jones is on an island right now. The island of misfit toys is what he feels like, sitting in that 4th position for Orlando Outlaws. I think the imposter syndrome is real. And they've got to get around the 31 of Casey Ellis. And some are going to come down pit lane this time. Very dicey. Trying to maintain speed while also preparing to come down pit lane. And it's a big group of cars. That is a smorgasbord of Toyotas. All down pit lane together. Any penalties for speeding? No. None. Hunter Peach alone staying out there. But not forever alone. James Wright, who came down pit lane before he did, is in that mix. And Peach, to his credit, has slipstream. He has draft. His pace is not going to be as quick because he's not going to have that massive group to deal with. But he's right there now with Casey Ellis. He can go a little bit longer. Meanwhile, this group just now coming out of pit lane. That is Ryan and Henderson ahead of Tracy, who did a great job on that pit stop, mixing in with this group. Ryan, Denny, Tracy, Henderson, Thompson, and Apperson are all together here. So Tracy in a good spot, despite not being anywhere close to this team. When you see the cars coming out of pit lane, that's your lead pack. All right there. Getting around, so that is Jimenez, that is Odie, that is Frazier, the 34, that they're getting around right now. Jimenez and Odie will stick with this group as well. So, as we approach 40 laps to go, Hunter Peach will get us going on that 40 laps to go. Yeah, but here comes the armada of Toyotas. 9 of the top 10 are all Toyotas here. Byron Jones, the only Chevrolet right now. That is alarming. And it doesn't matter what Toyota team. There's several Toyota teams in this field. Ascent Racing, you've got Josha Racing, Arrowhead Racing, Sablier Racing, Melissa Racing Club's also here. Odie Racing is here. Several different teams in Toyota, all of them in the top 10 right now. And if not in the top 10, not far away. Tracy for Odie Racing in the 35. Not far away, sitting in the top 15. Alarm bells ringing if you are a non-Toyota car right now. Christina Ryan breaking through. They got around Hunter Peach. Hunter Peach is in that group. You see the 2 different lead packs here. What was a pack of 21 is split up into 2 packs. And that second pack is larger. Both have some pretty massive talent in those groups. Obviously, this front group has Sasek, a former winner, Wygent, a former winner, Emily Howe, Byron Jones, Tucker Sawyer, your defending race winner here, Josh Arnold, are all right here. There's Dustin Hall on the racetrack, finally giving us 36 cars on the racetrack. He is looking to pick up and scavenge some of the DNF spots here. Martin Roberg, Jason Scott, Philip Snipes, all out of this race. Dustin Hall looking to gain on them at least and see how this race draws out. This lead group is pulling away at the moment, and that's despite the latency issue there for Perry. Sasek right behind, Flores in third. The Sint Racing cars 1 through 5. Emily Howe in 6th. Tucker Sawyer, the 6th Async car, in the 8th position. So 6 Async cars in this top 10 right now. Emily Howe for Arrowhead. Joshua Arnold for Militia Racing Club. Big time teamwork here at the front of the field, and they're pulling away ever so slightly, 4.25. Christina Ryan doing everything she can to try to lead this group back to the promised land. It's going to take a long time to chip away at that 4-second disadvantage. It might just have a chance. Dustin Hall dropped off of this lead group. He's hanging in there with Zach Meredith, who's at the very tail end of this line. Christina Ryan relying on the debutant Malachi Tracy and Blake Henderson to push forward. They were making inroads there a little bit, now not so much. And I wonder if that teamwork just isn't there because of obviously the newness of Tracy. Tracy and Ryan have raced together. It's on our channel here on AVN, but not in an oval environment. It is a hodgepodge of cars put together here. Some teammates, some not. And Tracy's going to get out of line here. I think that was intentional. It looked intentional to try to see if they could realign themselves to go a little bit faster here. And Tracy will slide in line in front of Thompson, who's not going to complain too awful much about that, and they're going to try to get going now and go full speed ahead for this conversation. The gap between Arnold and Ryan, 3.4 seconds. Once you get within a second, if you're at pace, you can close the gap from there using the slipstream of the car in front. And Henderson drops back. I believe they are power cycling. They're pushing until they're overheating, and then they're slipping backwards. I don't know how effective that's going to work. Having raced in this environment before, I would argue against that strategy just because you don't have the consistency. But they feel like they don't have a lot of options right now with the laps ticking away. And that's a fair conversation to have. And they're probably all having that conversation, working between their spotters and their crew chiefs, just trying to figure out what the best game plan is going to be. Yeah, this is orchestrated. It couldn't be much more blatant than Fraser going from bottom to top lane to move out of the way for Peach. They're cycling position to try to go full speed as much as possible here and just try to game the way the engine temperatures are going to work here. I'm intrigued. My curiosity is piqued on this. I want to see if this works. If it does, it'll be genius. As a driver, I prefer that consistency behind me. I prefer that consistency. We talked about it before. We talked about in the pre-race, the increased power, the increased frequency of the cars gaining temperature. More power just means that the car runs hot. And so when you take the air away, being behind another car, the radiator's blocked, you're not getting airflow. The temperatures are spiking quicker. Some believe that it wouldn't be much of a factor. I'm going to argue right now this is the biggest factor that they're having to work around. And they're having to do it every 2 laps. They've changed the strategy a little bit. Peach is not cycled out of the way here. So they must have seen the data to understand that they are not gaining what they were hoping to gain on this group. Now he cycles out of the way, and so they might actually... I don't know what you do here. They're throwing the book at it. Again, I personally don't think it's the right call. but I'm up here for a reason. So we'll see if that's the case. Dustin Hall is in this group as well, so familiar face, a reliable name in this second group as they try to close in. They have not done so. The gap has opened back up to 4.2 seconds to the race leader. It is now 3.5 seconds between Arnold and Ryan, so that gap is definitely opened here. And they're single file, and they have not rotated. Perry, Flores, Wygant, largely as it has been. Wygant has cycled out of the race lead. Perry now back in front, the pole sitter of this race. But everyone fourth on down is the same. Perry and Flores, they're going to keep that consistent. It's been that way for about the last 5 laps now. And it's cycled back to Tracy being behind Christina Ryan in the number 80. And then it's Thompson and then Apperson. Everyone trying to figure this out. And you'd imagine it wouldn't be so difficult outnumbering that that lead group, but it's deceptively difficult. One thing that also should draw some intrigue is the amount of light on the racetrack here. The sun has set beyond the grandstands here. There is no lick of sunshine hitting the racetrack right now. They're erasing the light. You can see just how much darker it is right now. We have entered full sunset scenario here in Talladega. This would not be the first time they have raced the light. There are no track lights here at Talladega. Once it gets dark, you cannot see here. And that is a concern. Less than 30 laps to go here in Talladega. Three cautions in stage one. We have had none since. We've had a green flag pit stop cycle, and we're going to have another one before this race is over. And that last cycle will be the money stop cycle. That'll determine how this race shakes out from there. Latency there for Flores. You don't want to have too much of that. Christina Ryan has dropped out of the lead of that second line, and they have lost a second. Apperson, Jimenez now leading that second line. I don't know there's a lot you can do there. This group is mostly teammates. The top 5 are all teammates here. That will pose a problem for everybody. Approaching 25 laps to go. Latency for the race leader, Perry. Wrong time to have that. Approaching lap traffic. Some damaged race cars they got to work around. They got to go outside. forcing them to slow up just a little bit. But it's not going to matter right now because Apperson and company are not gaining. And I can't explain why. They're just not. They've got the numbers to be able to. Denny drops out of that conversation at the front of the second group. I don't think the cycling's helping. I don't. They have lost 2 seconds in less than 7 laps. I don't think it's helping. I think it's doing more damage than good. And I think that right now they're scrambling because they know that they're not going to get a caution otherwise. They need a caution to get caught up. Or for this group to completely fumble this last pit stop sequence, which is possible. We saw it happen in Daytona. There were 17 pit lane penalties in Daytona. It can definitely happen. Surprisingly, we have only had 1 tonight. But money stops are next, and the pressure is there. I worry about the light on the racetrack. There's not a lot of it, and it's fleeting rather quickly. This is going to be a bit dicey. Coming to 22 to go. Your pole sitter leads, Mo Perry, ahead of Eli Sasek, Elias Flores, Pacey Wygant, and Grady Smith. So let's talk about for a second. Mo Perry, 21 laps led. Started this race at the front of the field, cycled back a little bit, everyone figuring things out, and now here we are. Perry back out in front with a lot of teammate support. Eli Sasek has yet to lead a lap in this race, and he's not worried about that. He is surrounded by teammates. He is in the spot he wants to be in. Elias Flores, similar position. He needs a result like this. You don't want to throw it away. Pacey Wygant, 9 laps led. He'd love a race win, but you got to think team game for a moment. How much are they going to push each other and throw away a result, especially knowing you got Emily Howe in company not far away. Grady Smith, 3 laps led himself as well. That's a bonus point for a lap led. Emily Howe has led laps here, 3 of them. Baron Jones, 5 laps led. Josh Arnold, 14 laps led. He led a decent chunk of stage 1. And he's sitting in this top 9 conversation. Tucker Sawyer, last lead lap car, I think, in this top 9 conversation. He is. No laps led, but he's not worried at the moment. Again, his teammates, 5 of them, are in view, and here they come down pit lane. And do they speed or do they make it? They all make it. They all make it on speed. They are good to go. Now you just got to hit your marks and keep things going. Emily Howe, Byron Jones, stay out. That's going to potentially hurt them a little bit. Fuel only stops, as you can imagine, with less than 20 laps to go. I have a feeling they're going to come down pit lane this time around. No, they don't. That surprises me. That is a worrying sign. These were the non-ascent cars in the top 8 conversation. Josh Arnold wisely came down to pit lane with the ascent cars. I think that was the smart move. Whoa, whoa, that's Arnold! That's Arnold! Who got hit by Donaldson, I think. He did get hit by Donaldson. Caution is out. The field is back together. And I believe the first car lap down is Derek Miller. Whether or not he was involved in that contact with Josh Arnold is a different conversation. But he is the first car lap down. He might get back on the lead lap. What this does, though, with less than 20 to go, is this eliminates the strategy call. Your money stops are not going to cost you a chance at the race win. It's just going to push you further back in the pack for the restart. For the Ascent cars, they get to stay out. Or do you come in for tires? I would say you don't. I would say there's no point. But everything we thought about this race going in has been wrong. What happened to Josh Arnold? This is coming out of pit lane with the Ascent cars. He gets loose. I don't know if he had contact there. Not a good angle here from the center of the racetrack. And just slides up the racetrack as the leaders are coming on through. Oh. I don't like the look of that for Josh Arnold. That's going to be reviewed by race officials, almost a guarantee. That is unfortunate. And this is the run off pit lane. The better angle. We can see if there's contact there. That is Flores and Arnold, and I don't think there is. There may be some here with the 95 of Brady Smith, but I don't think there is here. I think he's just trying to make it. He's trying to make it too wide, and you just can't do that on the exit to pit lane. And he bites it. And this I understand. He rolls back down the racetrack. Miller tagged the wall. He's not the free pass. And that hurts. That hurts so much. Gary Donaldson, understandably livid in this situation. And I'm going to stand corrected. They gave the 18 of Derek Miller the free pass. Despite tagging the wall, they're going to say that he was not involved in the accident. He's going to get the free pass. Usually you don't get that lucky. Miller did there. And with that, we'll have 25 cars on the lead lap. And it's Emily Howell, Byron Jones and company. You now get to come down pit lane and reset. And the issue is that the cars that had stayed out, a lot of the field had come down pit lane. This group has to come down pit lane now and go to the back of the field. Not the end of the world. We've seen people be able to race to the front pretty easily. But you are giving up a lot of track position right now. And that hurts. What? They didn't come down pit lane. Huh? We're going racing here in a moment. I want to ride on board here for a second. We don't have that many onboard cameras. We do with the 80 at Christina Ryan. It's dark. This is helmet cam for Christina Ryan as we get ready to go back racing. It's dark. It is dark here on the racetrack. This is wild. Absolutely bizarre. Malachi Tracy. Not a bad way to make a debut. Being in the top 15, a chance to make yourself a hero here in Talladega. But the questions at the front of the field, they did not come down pit lane. This is interesting. The slow crawl, getting closer to darkness. Green flag flies are back underway. If it was for a fact we're in July, this would feel like Halloween Havoc. Here we go. A little bit of contact there. John Matthews in the middle. Emily Howe leading. Pacey Wygent on the outside lane. The sparks begin to fly. These cars bottoming out. And the little tricks you don't see in the daylight have come out to fly. Coming to 14 to go. Remember, your race leader did not come down pit lane. 6 cars stayed out. The light from the pace car, the headlights are the brightest part of the racetrack. Trouble! Car in the fence, Bailey Thompson. And there's more trouble, and this might do the race in. Visibility was the concern, and this might end the race. Visibility as poor as it can be. This could end the race. My goodness. Trouble began with Bailey Thompson. And the race is going to end on lap 85 because of darkness. Everyone was racing to lap 85. That's why Emily Howe and company didn't come down pit lane. They didn't need to go to lap 94. They just needed to go to 85. I apologize for those that were shouting it in the YouTube chat. I had the Patreon chat pulled up instead. My bad. So let's take a look at what happened here. It begins with Bailey Thompson, and it's going to be hard to see because everything was hard to see here. And we're going to use the chopper cam for Bailey Thompson, who is trying to make something happen for her home race. Unfortunately, Byron Jones trying to force the issue there. Thompson trying to come down the racetrack, thinking that she was clear, and finds the wall in a shower of sparks. And everyone responds to that. That's where Jimenez makes contact with Tracy, and that's where the next piece of the puzzle really kind of comes together. Meredith gets involved in this one. Henderson gets involved. Apperson gets involved. Everyone stacks up. I believe Christina Ryan's got a piece of this. 31 of Casey Ellis. Alfred Denny, Olivia Pereira. A lot of different cars involved in this part of the conversation. Patrick Oberstadt gets clear through the bottom of the racetrack. That's where Bailey Thompson gets clobbered again for good measure. And so darkness has fallen on the racetrack as they shadow behind the pace car. Pacey Wygant, Mo Perry, and Tucker Sawyer are your podium finishers. It is an Ascent Racing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Emily Howe in 6th, John Matthews in 7th, Byron Jones in 8th, Hunter Peach and Mirabella Viscali, your top 10 for Viscali. First plate racing top 10 in HTL. This is a first. In the history of ABN, there has never been a race broadcasted by us that has ended due to daylight. This is the first. We've had some close calls. Atlanta comes to mind a few years ago. But this is the first for us. The last time this happened in HTL was Season 2, before we started broadcasting HTL on ABM. And this race, I believe, is going to finish under caution. I do not believe we're going to get a restart here. I'd be surprised if we do. Daylight completely gone here in Talladega. It'll be difficult to see even the simplest of burnouts without parking in front of the pace car here. And we're going to have a one-lap shootout. Oh, my goodness. Oh, buckle up. This is going to be something. We may not be able to see it. We'll see the sparks. This is going to be wild. Oh, dearie, oh, dearie, oh, dearie. No ambient lighting to speak of beyond the trees here in Alabama. I'm in awe. I am in awe. We're going to get a one-lap shootout to determine how this race is going to go. Ascent Racing has fumbled so many of these from a position like this. The only thing you can see of the cars is the backfire. This is insane. Wygant, Perry, Sawyer, Smith, Sasek, Howe, Matthews, Jones, Peach, Flores, Viscali. They spun! They spun backwards! Trouble in the back. Behind Markowski. And they're not going to stop it. Oh my goodness. They can't see the restart zone. It's there. Here we go. How much can you see through the darkness? Can you see the forest through the trees? What can you get here in Talladega? Sparks fly, a car in the apron. We stay green. A caution ends it. Getting to the little checkered flag ends it. A lot of contact. Trouble. Matthews in the fence. Huge sparks. They fly. And I think for the best, the top three didn't significantly change. Wygant, Sawyer, Sasek, Perry get to the end. Wow. Wygant is your race winner. I'm not sure how much we're going to see on this replay. We're going to take a look and see what we can get. Unfortunately, unlike sports cars, unlike the Platinum Endurance Championship we used to broadcast, we're not going to get a lot of telltale signs other than the sparks that fly. The race will be called official on lap 85. All we know right now is what your top three look like. And unfortunately, this is going to be a mess. So this is the replay. Not a lot to see here. And it begins with John Matthews, who you can't tell, middle of the screen on this one. If you crank the contrast up, you might be able to see something. Everyone pushing each other. Peach gets pushed by Flores. And I'm having to have my face against the screen to see this. Peach gets turned by Flores. Matthews recoils into... I can't tell who that is. Looks like Brady Smith is who got recoiled into there. Hard hit there between Emily Howe and Byron Jones on the outside lane. Everyone plows through. Caution ends the race. And the admin team, the officials for the HTL Cup Series, have their work cut off for each other right now. Because that is nightmare fuel. Pacey Wygant. Our overlay's messed up. There's nothing we can do about this. You're going to have to take our word for it, I think. Pacey Wygant's your race winner. And we will operate from there. That was wild. All right, so we're going to do interviews here. A lot of confusion, as we can understand here. I would not, obviously not surprising to see the confusion and a bit of the chaos on pit lane. This race ending in the nighttime. And there's a little bit of light from the safety car as it rolls through. There's a lot to... I don't know the order. I believe the order is Sawyer, Perry, and Wygant. Reverse order. Pacey Wygant winning. Mo Perry second, Tucker Sawyer third. I'm guesstimating right now because our timing screen is reflecting post-caution. So we'll pull up the good old interval here. I'm assuming that's correct. Sawyer and Perry are top 3. This is wild. We're just going to pick drivers up and do interviews here like normal. So apologies for the confusion. We are in the same boat, and we will play it out from there. We know Pacey Wygent, the race winner. Everything else, we're going by vibes. Welcome, everyone, to ABN Victory Lane After Dark. So we'll start with what we believe to be third. We'll just talk to Mo Perry in general because he's a nice guy to talk to here. A first time for everything, at least for us. A race ending due to daylight here, and it's Ascent Racing, despite the chaos at the end. A 1-2-3 for the team. Mo, walk us through it. Pole position, pat on the back there. And the team dominated the second half of that race. What was it like from your perspective? And obviously, ending under the lights, or ending under the lack of lights, not a normal occurrence.
Yeah, it's not a normal occurrence, but actually not the first time I've had a race get ended by darkness here. I was part of a moon car race that did that about 5 years ago. Luckily, no one, I don't think at least, flipped under pacing before it went back green that last time. But yeah, that race, up until the whole at the end, was really fun. Granted, a lot of it was just, for me personally, just flat out making sure I didn't have whoever was behind me blow up. It was nice to actually get a pole here that wasn't in the open, or not open, but duels. Shootout open, that's what it was. Came here with no practice because got out of work really, really late. But yeah, it was really fun working together with my teammates like that. Almost blew it on that last pit stop. I was going 56 miles an hour when I hit the line. I think that's the first time I've been in the lead and not screwed myself on something like that. But yeah, overall, fun race. Glad I survived it, and really glad that I got a P2 out of it.
A wild race here from Talladega. Pole position and a podium. Not a bad way to survive Talladega and move on. We go to Circuit of the Americas, a first time for just about everybody going into next Monday's race. It is now full throttle from here to the end of the season. What is the feeling going into that race in Texas next week?
Unbridled fear. I've done one race there ever, and it was in the Gen 6, and I'm already not the best at road courses, so that's going to be a real survival affair. Just got to hope for the best when we get there.
A wild race, a historic ending under the lights, the lack of light under darkness here in Talladega. Mo, before we let you go, unless you obviously debrief and celebrate with the team, a 1-2-3 for the first time in HTL for Ascent Racing tonight. If there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Awesome to see you here, and glad to be able to finally interview you on the podium here. Usually when you've been on the podium, I've been on the racetrack with you. So the floor is yours.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank Eli for, bringing me on for the season. Before this, I'd never run a next gen, like, ever, outside of plate tracks for, like, rod car and that kind of stuff. But, yeah, obviously him. Let's see, let me turn off my camera so I can actually read the side of this car. They didn't really have any input tonight because it fixed, but outlier for the setups all season. Let's see, Slipstream Signs, Tyler Williams, good friend of mine. Bailey for screenshots. I mean, still on the car at least. And Tomas Sport Tuning. And Tomaso, if you got a VW and you're in California, go pull up to him. He'll do you right. And YJ Media. That's about it.
A phenomenal job, Mo Perry. Pole position in a podium tonight. Second place, we'll take your word for it because our timing screens show none of that. but a phenomenal race nonetheless, Mo. Congratulations on the result, and we'll see you again in Austin in 7 days.
Thank you.
A phenomenal job for Mo Perry. Move on to Pacey Wygant, to Tucker Sawyer, who, by reason of deduction, finished third in tonight's race, we believe. Tucker, a new one, I believe, for you. I know it is for us here at ABN. And in this race under darkness, walk us through it. It's a good result for the team, a 1-2-3. But, yeah, I'm feeling a lot of opinions on how this race turned out.
Yeah, I don't even know how to like describe what happened. I just we just kind of kept me and Pacey and Mo were just kind of keeping quiet because we didn't really know what was going to happen. So we just were like, if they go green, I told Pacey, I'm just going to shove you and I'm not lifting at all until it's called. And that's exactly what I did, and it worked out about as good as it should have done. Yeah, I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the team. I think I don't know the actual finishing order because in iRacing it's not updated properly. But
a lot to update, that's for sure.
Yeah, great result for the team. We had a pretty good pit strategy for the second stage. We managed the gap to the second group that pitted. Went from 2.5 seconds to about 5 or 6 until that caution came out. So yeah, our strategy was perfect, and then we just kind of got into this situation and it worked out good. Yeah, great race.
And we go from Talladega, a race where you have won before, you were the last winner going into this race, to a track where you're expected to be a favorite, Circuit of the Americas, next Monday. Home racetrack by technicality, obviously Texas native, going back to Texas here. What's the feeling going into the Circuit of the Americas for the first time in HTL?
I don't really like that track, so I gotta do a lot of practice for it because I've only done a couple of laps. I probably shouldn't be telling the world this, but I am. Yeah, so I'm gonna do some practice. Hopefully Outlier comes out with another banger setup like they did in Sonoma, and hopefully I get the win or at least get a podium to wrap up this decent stretch of finishes. Yeah.
A phenomenal job for the team tonight. Obviously, sweeping the podium for the first time in the team's history here in HTL. If there's anyone to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Chaotic race, crazy race. I think overall a lot more on edge than we were anticipating it being at the start of the day, but a phenomenal result nonetheless. And what a way to come back to Talladega with another podium.
Yep. Shout out to you, Carmen, for commentating and broadcasting. I know my parents are watching, so shout out to them. Shout out to everybody on the team, Pacey, Mo, Eli, I gotta scroll down the list to find all of them. Olivia, Jason, Brady, Elias, all those guys, great people, great teammates. Shout out to Outlier Setup Co. For making awesome setups, even though this is a fixed setup race. But yeah, that's about it.
A phenomenal race here tonight for the Ascent Racing camp. A 1-2-3 sweep. Toyota dominant the second half of the race here in Talladega. Tucker Sawyer part of that conversation on the podium tonight. We'll hopefully see him again in a similar form, if not on Wednesday, next Monday in Austin. Tucker, congratulations, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
And then we move to the man of the hour, who is running laps in pitch darkness here at Talladega just to try to get this race to end under the laps here. Pacey, an interesting one. Obviously, some people have been through this on occasion. We've never seen this before. Walk us through it. A race win in the most unusual circumstances, but a win is a win is a win.
Hey, I just got a race win at Talladega somewhere else a couple weeks ago in the pitch black as well. So I don't know. It's just I guess I'm destined to win if it's gonna be dark. I don't know. But no, it was a really fun race. I felt like honestly I could put the car anywhere and go to the front. And it of course helped once I got my teammates there. I think we ended up finishing every one of us in the top 5. So yeah, it was just, I think I won the first and second stage. So I'm pretty sure I actually walked out with max points. I don't know. It's Talladega. Anything can happen, and I just got the lucky end of the stick tonight.
It's been a wild season so far. Everyone getting used to how the things are playing out here. Obviously, Talladega got to mix things up, this time favorably for Ascent Racing. We go to another track that should mix things up, a track that not many people have been to before, Circuit of the Americas, next Monday. What's the feeling going into that? Tucker's saying he's feeling not optimistic, but he knows he's got the work to put in. He knows he can. What's it like for the 00 camp going into Austin, Texas next week?
Not necessarily optimistic about it, but I feel like we can position ourselves in the top 10, and top 10 will be a win in my books for next week. Even looking back at Sonoma, where I had the EOL, had to come from literally the pits to start, and I drove all the way from literally last place to, I think it was 9th at the end. So I've got some speed on the road courses. I'm not by any means gonna go out and dominate a race, but with a little bit of practice, we should be in a good shape for at least the top 10.
It'll be a lot of fun to see how things shake out in Austin in 7 days' time. Before we let you go and let you celebrate the race win and complete these laps in the pitch darkness here in Talladega, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. A phenomenal drive and a win to get things really kick-started here this season for the Ascent Racing Camp.
Yeah, obviously I gotta start off by shouting out you broadcasting each and every week. I know it's no easy task, especially here in HTL. We get some pretty rough races sometimes, and that's to be expected with any league. So obviously gotta shout out Eli and all of Ascent for everything they've done, backing me every single race. Outlier speed, even though this was a fixed race, their support through the season's really been helping a lot. We've had some pretty fast cars. Gotta shout out the wife for letting me do this, my kids for sleeping, and any of the fans out there, thanks for sticking by my side.
A phenomenal drive for Ascent Racing. A 1-2-3 sweep. The podium belongs to Ascent Racing here in Talladega. Pacey Wygen victorious once again here in HTL. Pacey, enjoy it. Congratulations, and we'll see you again next Monday in Texas.
All right, thank you.
A wild race, and not a lot to see here in Talladega Superspeedway under the lights. We're glad you joined us, though, for the Alabama 400. Stay tuned to our social medias, links in the description down below, because we'll post a corrected finishing order once we have all that finalized from the HTL Cup Series staff, as well as points. So keep an eye out on that. We'll see you tomorrow night for the HTL Challenger Series from Darlington. That'll be run in the daytime all the way through. But for HTL, for all its partners, and everyone here at ABN, thank you for joining us here in Talladega. Stay safe and stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow night. Until then, so long, everybody.